I've got a funny story for you, Jake. During the week,
Yeah, looking forward to it.
actually not even during the week, on Sunday, I come in here into the lounge room after I'd been out, and then it was after Melbourne had just beaten West Coast and given themselves their first final series since 2006 was it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I walk in here and I see my housemate Aaron, and he's a mad Melbourne supporter.
Mad is
Mad
the right
Melbourne
word.
supporter. They've just won. They're going to play finals this year. And I see him sewing a button onto a black jacket, a really nice jacket. Just sewing a button onto a jacket. I look at him and I'm like, mate, what are you doing? He turns to me and he looks at me and he goes, I'm getting ready for finals. In that voice. Is that the most Melbourne thing you've ever heard? How do you get ready for finals? I just sew buttons.
Welcome to the round 23 episode of the Magoos. I can't get this round wrong, Ben, because it is the last round of the home and away season. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm okay. Unfortunately, you gave me some sort of chili-infested sweet potato fry right before we started recording this.
From scratch, sweet potato fry, and didn't realise you were. I was excited to let you know, like, have a chip, and you had one, and then you thought it wasn't bad, and then you
call
go,
the fire brigade. Yeah.
Is it a bit hot? I'm like, yeah, there's a bit of chili in there.
Yeah, a bit of chili.
Not a chili guy.
Felt like you used the whole thing. Anyway, we're excited because we've got one round left of the season.
Are you excited because there's only one round
because it's over. We're almost there. No, not this. We're going to be going right through to grand final. I'm assuming we'll be having like our own grand final breakfast sort of thing.
Yeah, I reckon we do. I reckon we
rent out a room at 88 or something.
Yeah, no sweet potato fries, but
no, you can have sweet potato fries, just don't have chili in them.
Just don't have chili. Sorry.
Okay,
I'm excited though.
Before we get into the footy, Ben, I've got a gripe with you.
Oh, shoot.
During the week, right, you have moonlighted on another program.
Go on. I was?
I
have a lot of things that I've got to do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, a lot of radio commitments. Our good friends, Tim and Dan, you can catch them on Triple M Modern Digital on Fridays, 12 till 2.
Yeah.
I actually caught up with Dan after we recorded last week's episode.
Did you?
He was up at the shops. We spoke for a long time. He's a great man, Dan.
He's a great man, Dan.
And he engages in our content, so...
Come on in, Sam. It's all right, mate. That's all right. Come on in. Keep going.
Sam's now in the house.
Just rocked up in the middle of filming.
Yeah.
Just have a seat if you want, or if you...
He's got a fresh card.
Yeah, I did. I got a haircut.
Nah. I'm getting one for next week's show.
So there was football on last weekend.
Yes, but I'm not done potting you because...
Yeah, righto.
So you're now just moonlighting as a little bit of a guest for their show?
Well, I called in a favour, yeah. I had a favour called in.
Okay, I would have thought that's something maybe you run past me and, hey, Jake, just so you know, just so you don't find out on air.
I thought about it. But then I realised that you wouldn't. Yeah, have a chip, mate. There's a bit of chili in there, by the way.
Yeah, don't eat the chips.
All right, get out. Go.
Fucking smash those. I love the same chat footy, but
Yeah, right.
The Magoos, eh?
Well, there was 3 different people on that segment that they played.
I don't care what everyone else is doing, Ben. I worry about what you're doing.
Oh, you do worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. Putting too much chili in chips.
Yeah, but when I see you on another show and you haven't run that past me,
Yeah.
I get worried.
Well, I ran it past the producer. I ran it past Jack, and I told him to tell you.
Okay.
So he's the one who hasn't told you.
Okay, so as usual.
Yeah. It's not
Jack's
my
to
fault.
blame.
It's Jack's fault.
We might as well get into the footy. If anyone listening is hung on to this
If Tim
point,
and Dan are listening, I'm happy to come back on. And Jake
we
as
can
well.
both come on.
Yeah.
Tim, Dan, Jake, and Ben.
Yeah. Bang. There you go.
Can't do Fridays 12 to 12. But
So
that's
footy.
okay.
All right.
Footy. Where do we start? Do we start? We start at Melbourne. I think we start at
We
Melbourne.
can start at Melbourne. Yeah.
The Melbourne Demons are playing finals for the first time since 2006. I was in year 8, which means you were in year 7, and we weren't even friends. We weren't friends till 22 weeks ago. Actually, no, we weren't friends 22 weeks ago. We were
Friends 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was thinking there was a bit of an up and down sort of patch where.
Hey.
But it's been a long time. A lot has happened since then.
Now that Essendon are officially out,
Some of us predicted that in round 1, but we will get to that on next week's show. We're going to be doing things I got right and things I got wrong. It's a little segment I made up.
Yeah, it'll be a 1 minute segment.
Things I got right.
Things you got
one
right.
thing. Things I got wrong. Everything else.
No, I was going to say that I am. I know you're not big on supporting any other team than Carlton and Richmond, who you have a membership for.
Yes, but
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'm hoping that Melbourne shake it up in the coming finals. I really do.
I couldn't be any further opposed to
You
that.
have the Melbourne supporter friends that seem like
Seems like, they're ruining our lives, this, that, the other. And then when they win, they're like, we're talking final, we're talking flags. Like, so, I mean, I can't cop that. But something that I found very interesting, and I sort of thought it at the time, and then I looked at it and I thought, maybe you're being cynical, Jake. And
probably
that does sound a little bit like me.
yeah.
Because I'm obviously filthy that Carlton are down the bottom and Melbourne are going okay, just okay.
Yeah.
And then Chris Judd brought it up on Footy Classified about potentially they overindulged in the celebrations in terms of, their antics on the ground and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And the fans were absolutely wrapped. They were ringing up the radio saying this, that, the other. And I mean, you can't control how the fans respond to anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just interesting that, I mean, it's obviously great for Melbourne to break their finals drought. But where I'm sort of thinking is that if they lose their first final, this year's a failure. Making the finals is not enough for this side.
Yeah,
and I know they haven't done it in a while and they wanted to tick that box and that's fine, but they have to win a final because really, I know last year they didn't make it and this year they've made it, so logically it looks like a step up. But this is a side that should be ready to contend and probably are.
Absolutely, list-wise.
At their best, they're ready to contend.
Yeah.
And they've lost a lot of games by small margins, and you can say that means they're almost there, or they are there, and they just haven't put the finishing touches on it.
Specifically about the small margins and how that could be a detriment come finals. But I also think that's been good learning for them all year. Is that all these close games that they've lost, they've realised. I think they're starting to realise what they need to do to hang on.
I'm just interested with Melbourne whether or not it will click, because with Richmond it eventually clicked. But there's no guarantee to say that it will.
No, and there's no formula and recipe.
And they're good. Melbourne are a good side. I mean, and at their best, they're really good, and they could probably win the flag at their best.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm not sure they're
list,
there. I'm not sure they're there at the moment. But I just think that if they, making the finals is great, and the supporters should indulge and celebrate the fact that they'll be there in September. And if they get to play a final in Melbourne, I'm sure they'll come out and they'll come back down from the snow and they'll be out in their droves. But I think that if they lose their final, then it's another year wasted.
Yeah,
for mine.
I agree with that, but I also think that's a bit harsh about how the criticism of how they celebrated, because within the year, the last few weeks, it's like, Melbourne are going to do what Melbourne do and lose it for themselves.
It's very true.
So to get that win, I think good on them. Celebrate, I reckon, a little bit. Obviously, you got a job to do this week against GWS. Now, my question though is, if you are the D's and you win this week against GWS, you're likely going to play Geelong at home, which both in Melbourne doesn't, even though Geelong play at the G a lot. Would you rather play Geelong at the G first elimination, or lose to GWS and then potentially play them again, but at Spotless? So Geelong at the G. What is Melbourne's better chance? Geelong at the G, or GWS up at Spotless?
They probably should win them both. Well, I really rate GWS, you know that, but they just keep getting hit by injuries.
It's tough.
I think that you'd rather be playing GWS at Spotless out of that one, because Geelong have got the fine. Like, it's almost like, Geelong come up with guys who have not necessarily won flags, although a few of them have. I mean, Dangerfield hasn't, but guys that are built for that big stage. And the thing is, we don't know with Melbourne if they have got, like Jordan Lewis, obviously, but he's not playing an overly integral role at Melbourne in terms of an on-field sort of like leadership. Yes, of course, but yeah, so it's just you don't know with them. And I think GWS, while they have played in finals, it's the same sort of thing. They haven't had a great deal of success, but they have. And the logical step is, but I mean, they're not fit enough. The logical step is to, if you lose a prelim or a couple of prelims, the next step is winning one, and that's obviously where their progression is at, but they've got a lot of injuries. It's interesting in terms of, it's one of those final series where I think, you can make a case, and I mean, you should be able to. It's the top 8 sides of the competition. There shouldn't, and no one's, I mean, while it's tight, no one's going to really sneak in because a side like Geelong finish 8th, you're going, that's a serious side.
September Geelong is different to what we've been seeing lately. Which is
at their best, they're good enough to challenge. And we saw them only lose to Richmond by a kick a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to be an awesome final series. But if I was Melbourne, I'd be rolling the dice, taking on undermanned GWS rather than a job.
I tend to agree with that, and my Melbourne supporter friends didn't. They said, we've got Geelong covered. we've lost to them both times this year, but we've.
That sounds like a Melbourne supporter.
And I just thought that's ridiculous. They've got the wood on you, and then you're playing a September Geelong and not throughout the year Geelong.
But they're there.
They're there.
The D's are there, so
D's can beat
we'll
anyone
have to
on
wait
the
and
day,
see what
I reckon.
happens over the next month.
Looking forward to it.
So we go from the D's to BJ.
To the Bombers. What?
Yes, to the Bombers, to BJ Goddard.
Oh, to BJ. Yeah.
Moved on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting call for mine.
Yeah.
We will get to the socials a little bit later where we put it out to the Magoo's community
Yeah.
what would be next for BJ and if you'd have him at the club, but at your club. I was a little bit shocked that they got rid of him.
Why were you shocked?
Your thoughts?
Well,
why was
I'll ask you
I
why you were
okay.
shocked.
I thought that he has got plenty to give. I mean,
You don't watch much Essendon games.
I actually I see a bit of them,
Yeah.
And-
have you watched them live?
like at the game, at the ground.
You
Is that
actually
what you're saying?
you've gone with your girlfriend a couple of times this year, haven't you?
Once or twice. Yeah.
Watching him at the.
She's
at
going to be
the-
wrapped by hearing that. Only once or twice in the 23 games. Thanks for that, Ben. That's great. You're right. He has only gone with me once.
Shut up. I would firstly just say that I think he's been a great workhorse for Essendon. I think he is unfairly criticised.
Oh,
A lot.
I'll get into that. Don't you worry about that.
You'll get into it.
Oh,
here we
Lord.
go. Yeah.
Essendon fans, don't get me started. But yeah, continue on.
I believe he's been fantastic for Essendon, especially in the period that we got him. His 300 game. What he done in 2010 as well, when he pretty much nearly won the game for St Kilda. However, he watching a few games live this year, I feel like as much as he still is a gun, he's averaging 22 still, and he's a general in the back line. He has done things where I've thought is a little bit past him. With considering, and this is not, I don't think the game has passed him. I think our style has passed him a little bit. We are a very, very quick side, very quick offensively. He gets caught out a little too much for my liking. His field kicking's always been amazing, but then every now and then he'll just do these brain fades that you just do not expect from a 300 gamer. And I just think moving forward as a club, I personally think it was the right decision.
I think
It's
Brendan,
tough, but
it's a tough decision, and I mean, he said that he respected it,
Yeah.
disagreed with it, but respected it. I mean, he understands the industry, and that's fine. But I think that Brendan Goddard is one of the most misunderstood players in this entire competition. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
he's the sort of leader that you could, like, footy clubs are built around, and he held that joint up. That joint up when everything had turned to
no
shit.
doubt,
Like,
no
and
doubt.
he gets a really raw deal from a lot of Essendon supporters, and this is just
does.
taking it off social
does.
media.
He
I mean, I
does.
don't sit with the faithful. Try not to anyway. But he just gets such a, like, I saw a Twitter poll like, after Friday night's game, does Brendan Goddard get a contract next year? No, hell no. And they were the two options. And it was like, hang on a minute, mate. This is a 300 game, and this bloke for 6 years has propped your club up. Like,
Yeah.
and he was the best player
Yeah.
in the competition when he came to Essendon.
And obviously there's a bit of he was.
He
And
was
there's
a
obviously a bit
superstar.
of emotion
was
on the
at-
Friday night from that poll.
Yeah.
And it
I went to the
definitely
20
gets the better of people.
I went to the
sometimes.
2010 grand final. I was there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I saw his mark, and the last half of that game, that was Herculean.
It
I
was.
can't believe he didn't win the Norm Smith.
Yeah,
Lenny
me
Hayes was
too.
fantastic, but
Yeah. That mark was
18-year-old
something
Jake
else.
also had $5 on Brendan Goddard at 11s to win the Norm Smith medal.
Oh,
that day.
so I knew there's something
which was
personal about this.
disappointing.
Well,
but-
all right. If you're Carlton, take him then.
I think 100% that Carlton should put him on the list. Next
I think
year.
it's a great idea. He could definitely do a Hodgie type role. Because
100%
he
Carlton
knows
take
football. His IQ is through.
Yeah,
the
I'd be
roof.
taking if I was. I mean, you wouldn't take him if you're a. I mean, you wouldn't.
You're a
you
club
wouldn't
that's
pick
on
him
the
up.
cusp?
Yeah, you wouldn't pick him up,
pick him
but
up.
I still would have kept him if I was Essendon.
Okay.
Because
I disagree.
like you don't have to pick him every week.
Yeah, but then do you want to see that to someone like that who's only getting a game every fortnight, every month?
Well, if you were
300
to
gamer,
if you were to say to him like, look, we'll give you a year deal, but who do you think's going to take his spot? Who?
Oh, well, I know you don't seem to agree or like many Essendon players, but Aaron Francis on the weekend was
he was
amazing.
fantastic. He's a bit bigger though.
He's a bit bigger,
yeah.
but Goddard he played a bigger like a
Yeah,
big
but he's
body
never really
role.
defending, is he? Like he's never really.
No, but we've already got
He's not
Hurley
a-
and Hooker in the back line as the bigs, and Aaron Francis can play small as well. Then you got McGrath, you got Sard, McKenna. I don't see. This is what I mean. But like they're young. They're young and they're quick. Yeah. It's about the team, not so much about Goddard. I think you could sit here all day and say it was unfairly done by, but you look at like the Hawthorn model. Like they tended to move on their great players a little earlier than people thought they should have.
Very true.
But not saying we haven't won 3 flags in a row, but
no, you certainly haven't. You haven't won 3 games in a row.
Okay, thank you. But you haven't won 3 games this year.
Yeah, well, that's true. But this is not about me.
Well, it's not about BJ as well. I think it's about the club going forward, and I think it's the correct decision. Yeah.
Okay.
And I wish him the best because I know he's a big fan of the show.
I wish he was. We get him on here with a BJ and Jake show featuring Ben.
It's all right.
Hey guys, can I come back in yet? No, Ben. Okay, so we will get to what the Magoo's community thought a little bit later on in the socials about that. Cooter's just hit the deck.
That was a bit of a metaphor for Carlton right there.
That scared the shit out of me.
I told you we shouldn't have put that up.
Yeah, well, you did say that. Yeah. But I'll just flip it back up there, Anthony.
You see, he's still got his arms up. He must get tired after a while.
He's wrapped.
Not Barnard. He's just...
Anyway, what I wanted to ask you, Ben, Dane Zorko. You see that? Catch up with his post-game little stash with Touk Miller? You didn't, did you?
Oh, no, I did. Yeah. I did see that. Yeah, no, you just had to... It was a few days ago. Yeah, I saw that.
What'd you make of it?
Well, past history, those two, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cooter's about to go again. I can hear him.
I'm a big proponent that once the siren's gone, shake a bloke's hand. Don't.
Yeah.
But, I didn't really like kick up.
It didn't look great, but what I love about it is that a few weeks ago the conversation was these players don't care, they're too friendly straight after the siren, look at them having a laugh. And then someone does the exact opposite and carries on after the siren and they go, that's bad sportsmanship.
But that's contextual.
I know that there's...
that's contextual.
I know there's a gap in between. There's like a middle ground.
When you're up by 20 points like Melbourne were against
But you're also right next to like... The siren doesn't just mean the switch flicks, I don't think. No. If you had been standing 5 to 10 metres away from him and he sought him out and went at him, you sort of think, well, he's had... But so he's playing... He was right next to him. He was like... They were in each other's personal space at the time the siren went. So that's what sort of clicked it.
It's like that happens in boxing all the time. A couple punches thrown after the bell. They're that close. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, like they're still in game mode, you know. If the sign had gone and they'd played on each other all day, but they were 10, 15 metres away, and then he ran over to him and got into him, I sort of think that...
dog.
Yeah, but I just don't... I mean, it didn't look great, but, I mean, I don't think that Dane Zorko is the big villain that everyone's made him out to be.
No, I don't think so either. I'd prefer to talk about his name more than what he's done. I think...
DZ's a pretty cool nickname.
DZ's okay. Yeah, Marvel or DZ. But Dane Zorko, the name is just, doesn't do it for me.
Okay. That's
probably why he did that in my mind.
That's very, very interesting, Ben. We're back, Benny.
We are.
That was weird. What I didn't, in our little Brendan Goddard conversation as we head to the socials, to have a little bit of a look at what the Magoo's community thought of a few of the pressing issues of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We love to put it out to our doting fans on socials. Make sure you give us a follow at the Magoos _. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Would you take Brendan Goddard at your club in 2019? You've already said no. Yeah, you said no because your club's Essendon and you agreed with them letting him go. So you said no.
Yeah, but that's a loaded question, isn't it?
It's a question that you answered by saying that
you
don't want him at Essendon.
Club, and I explained why.
Yeah, so would you? Yeah, but I'm asking at Essendon, would you take Brendan Goddard?
That I would take him if I was like a Carlton.
No, but that's not your club.
That's not your club. That's not his club.
I had it first.
All right, fine.
Would you take Brendan Goddard at your club in 2019?
Essendon, no.
Yeah, that's your club.
Yeah, I know. We just said that. I don't like how you put me in a box like that.
What, as an Essendon supporter?
No, because I think
you want to be
great at another
supporter?
club. Your club. But Essendon are prime for top 4 next year.
Oh, yeah, we heard that before the last 3 years.
Yeah, we heard it 35 years in a row.
So you said no. You said no. So did 67% of the Magoo's community. No waste of time.
So it's not just Essendon supporters who don't like him.
Well, we can't take away that 67% of our audience are or are not Essendon supporters. We don't know that.
But
We don't have
I
that
think
sort
it's
of
safe to
metrics.
say that 67% are not Essendon supporters. And my housemate is playing,
playing
guitar. Sam, shut up. He sounds like the kid from the start of that Michael Jackson song. He's playing the Seinfeld theme song. Sam, we're recording. Just 2 minutes. We could do this, I reckon. We can keep going.
One for the blooper reel.
Yeah, no, I reckon we keep going.
Okay. So 67% of people said no, it was a
no.
waste of time.
Thanks, mate.
33% then obviously said yes, it was a valuable experience.
No one asked for an encore, did they?
This is incredible.
Keep going. I'm just going to have a quick word. 67%.
So keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Who am I going to talk to?
Just keep talking.
So on the socials, 67%. I disagree with all of them. The valuable experience I would take at my club. So 33% of people out there agreed. And Ben, we also asked the people heading into the final round of the season who was going to win the Coleman Medal. The Coleman Medal race obviously has heated up in the last few weeks. How'd you go? All right?
Keep my pimp hand strong.
Okay, good. So we also asked people to predict who would win the Coleman Medal. At the moment, Jack Rewald sits on 60 goals, Ben Brown on 58, Lance Franklin 57, Tom Hawkins 56.
I love it.
Who would you tip out of those four?
I'm tipping Tom Hawkins.
Me too.
Really?
Oh,
Oh my God. I just reckon Gold
So
Coast.
you and me are the 8%.
Gold Coast at home. I reckon it's going to be a bloodbath, and he's due for 10. He's in form. What's he paying on Sportsbet?
Who cares? Don't use Sportsbet.
But yeah, I mean,
We had a pact that we wouldn't use Sportsbet.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm going for Tom Hawkins.
Let me look up.
I'm believing in him.
And our good friends at Ladbrokes will tell us.
Okay, sorry, Ladbrokes. Gamble responsibly.
Of course, they do not
Oi, Romeo.
in any way.
So what are the percentages?
So Jack Rewald's $1.50.
Oh,
Ben Brown $4. I know, but I'm just doing this now. Tom Hawkins $5. Lance Franklin 21. They obviously think that Franklin won't be playing this week.
What was Hawkins again? 5.
5.
Not bad,
So
boys.
63% of people are happy to side with Jack Rewald in his current 2-goal lead, assuming that they will. Who are Richmond playing?
Just about to have a look.
Richmond. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I can't think of.
Richmond playing the Dogs at the G.
Oh, speaking of bloodbaths.
Yeah, maybe actually.
But
He's playing okay.
Ben Brown 25%, Lance Franklin 4%. Obviously, that's a bit weighted by the fact that he probably won't play due to injury.
Yeah.
And then Tom Hawkins 8%. So that's probably just you and me.
It might have been. I did actually vote.
Yeah, so
I
did
voted
I.
for Tom. That actually is you and me.
Great to see we're so out of touch with our audience. But we also, as we continue our brave new venture on social media into the world of Instagram at the Magoos _. Make sure you give us a follow.
Yeah.
We asked the question, who is your starting All-Australian ruckman out of Gawn and Grundy? And that came back 63% Gawn, 37% Grundy. Who you got,
Pretty
Ben?
close. Gone.
I got Grundy. So
Okay.
6-1, yeah.
Interesting.
I think that they have to both make the side.
Yes.
But, yeah, I just...
Grundy's had an unbelievable season.
It's 6-1, isn't it? Really?
The only reason I would say Gone is because when you're picking a ruckman, I'm taking that hit out to advantage all day.
That's fair. And Gawn has been good all year. I mean, I'm not saying that one's necessarily...
One of them's going to be stiff not to get it.
Yeah.
And one of them could even
absolutely.
win the Brownlow.
That's very true also. They won't because they're a ruckman, and that just doesn't happen. But we also asked on the socials for a trade. Like a trade that, had your club been ripped off?
Yeah.
Had you ripped off someone? Was there a trade that you liked just from its pure evenness? Because I've worked out a trade that I laughed at when it first went through, but is now the scales have tipped.
Right.
and that is Jake Melksham for pick 25.
Yeah.
Because the scales have tipped on that. When that first happened, I thought, oh, what a blunder for Melbourne.
Yeah.
Dear me.
Yeah.
Pick 25. And that pick 25 ended up being pick 30 with like other picks that get slotted in, priorities and whatever.
Yeah.
And so Essendon took Mason Redmond with that, and he could be a good player. He's still young, so I'm going to give him that. But Jake Melksham is playing some seriously good football. And
Number one assist in the league, I think.
if he wasn't there, I think he would be what Melbourne would be missing, if that makes sense. If he wasn't there, they'd be really missing a player like him.
What I love about
makes
Melksham specifically is he will mark it around 70, 75, and he's one of the only players who lowers the eyes and he hits targets inside 50 nearly every time.
He's just playing really, really well. And then, I remember at the time thinking, shock and trade. Like,
he
pick
wasn't doing
25.
much for us,
But that's also testament to how well the clubs sort of do draft boards and stuff like that. Because I looked at that draft and it wasn't a cracker. They maybe thought any pick after a certain amount isn't.
Maybe they just wanted him gone. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
He wanted to leave, but we had one from Tom Beers who said the biggest win-win trade was Beams to Brisbane for Jack Crisp and pick 5, which they turned into Jordan De Goey. Beams got to go home with his family and has been a star for the Lions. Obviously, you couldn't argue that. While Crisp and De Goey have both been great gets for the Pies, and everyone's happy.
That is a win-win, but that wasn't your question.
No, but it was about trades. The best. The question was, what do you think the best trade of the 2010s has been?
Yeah, you did go on to say about steals and whatnot.
Yeah.
What else do we have in there?
Mitch Harris said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Collingwood got Howe for Ben Kennedy. I'm sure that there would have had to be something else in that deal.
Like a pick, maybe.
He did say, correct me if he's wrong, but I'm not sure. Probably should have read that just before just now. But those
based on that, yes.
Devon Smith to the Dons is a great get.
Get.
What'd you give up?
I'm not even sure.
Must have been something pretty good. It would have been like a teens pick or something, surely.
It was. We gave away a couple of different picks.
Yeah, because the Stringer was pick 25 or something, wasn't he? Like
something like that. And to be honest, all three of them have been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy to give them all ticks.
Are you giving an all Australian nod to Smith? Could actually go down to this game, like this last game.
Tough, isn't it?
Leading the league.
He's probably lucky he didn't get a 9-week suspension last week for throwing haymakers, or as we say in the industry, cut lunches. Rhymes with punches, Ben.
Yeah.
I know. And the one we had in a couple of times, this was from DB47, Dylan Badurk, said Sean Grigg for Andy Collins as a real rip-off, which is true. Sean Grigg's gone on to bigger. I think his time was done at Carlton for mine, though.
Yeah.
But, we didn't get anywhere near the investment that they've Carlton didn't get anywhere near the investment.
Never do.
I disagree.
Okay.
We got a Brownlow medalist when we traded.
And who did you give up for that?
Josh Kennedy.
Yeah.
But we got a Brownlow medalist, so that's ROI. It's return on investment.
What does a Brownlow medal get the team?
Well, how many flags has Josh Kennedy played in?
Yeah, but you don't measure it like what are you, a Michael Jordan versus...
No, but I don't know what are you measuring it on then? So you're saying Chris Judd was not a good trade for Carlton?
I'm measuring it on that Carlton could have Josh Kennedy in their team right now.
Yeah, but things would be totally different. Chris Judd changed the whole culture of the place. There was no leadership. There was no...
Is there leadership still?
Yeah, but there was. That's what I'm saying. He came in and there was.
But it was only a temporary shift, so it doesn't really matter.
Temporary shift. How long was he there for? He was there for like 6 years.
But it's still temporary because now that he's gone.
Yeah, well, everything's temporary then, Ben. Everything's temporary.
Why are we even here?
What a remarkable thing to say.
I just don't think that was a steal.
No, I didn't say it was a steal.
Well,
I said it was a fine trade. I think it was an even trade, and that's what trades are meant to be.
Are they?
Yes.
That sounds like a loser club.
Why would the other party agree to a trade if it was not fair?
Well, because clubs take advantage of situations. If someone wants to come home, you don't offer.
So we traded a first-round draft pick and a player who we used the first-round draft pick on to get the best player in the competition.
I love it. I don't know. I love Carlton mindsets.
You know, that doesn't make any sense.
And then
mate.
in that time, we were missing the one thing that was stopping you guys from being okay was a forward.
Well, you know who we had at the time before he
Favola?
Yeah, Brendan Favola.
And
we didn't need we had Jared Waite and Brendan Favola.
And then you left.
And we had a young WA kid to get the best player in the comp. I don't understand.
So at the time, great trade. Now, not so much.
Yeah, but what do you mean now?
Because how long has Judd been out of the game for?
That is such an uneducated thing to say.
Why?
Because there was always going to be
You're
a
talking
time.
about return on investment. You're talking about a
was
short-term
always
and a
going-
long-term investment.
No, but there was always. So you're saying that if Chris Judd had said, "I want to go to Essendon," you're only trading players older than Chris Judd. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not trading.
Because then
I'm
there'd
not
be a time where that person would still be playing and
not
it would be
trading
a
Josh
bad
Kennedy.
deal. So you wouldn't have traded Josh Kennedy for Chris Judd at the time.
Well, luckily for everyone, I don't have those decisions.
Okay, so what if Dustin Martin wanted to go to Essendon, but you had to trade Joe Daniher? No, Joe Daniher is better than Josh Kennedy, but I'll give you that. You know, Dustin Martin for
Big compliment.
yeah. Well, at their stage of the young stage of the career, Daniher's a better player than what Kennedy was at Carlton. Kennedy was only very much
at
finding his
Carlton,
feet,
yeah,
like in those young
yeah.
formative years, right?
Yeah.
But everyone knew Kennedy was going to be good.
Yeah. Well, that's
But again, there's no guarantee with key forwards.
well, that's true.
So what? So if someone comes to you and says, say 2 years ago, when Joe Daniher, everyone said, yeah, he's going to be awesome. So Dustin Martin comes to you and says, yeah, I want to come, and you go, well, the only trade we can do is
I wouldn't
Joe.
do it.
You're not doing it.
I'm not doing it for Joe
dear.
Daniher.
For the
No,
best
I'm
player
not.
in the comp. You're acquiring the best player in the
Well,
competition.
there's a risk in acquiring the best player already. Not.
Yeah, but you know what he is. You know he's a proven. He won a Brownlow and almost won another one at Carlton. Like it's a tick.
There's
like, it's a
there's
fine
no
trade.
doubt he is one of the greats. But I'm still at this stage in the career because you've got 10 years left in Joe, and you've got how many?
But that's not the trade.
But it is. You've got to think long term.
But that was long term. Chris Joe was like 24, 25 when he came to Carlton.
Was he 25?
Oh,
was he that young?
I dare say, he would have been. It wouldn't have been any older than 26. I
Okay.
think it was 2009.
Could have been 27.
No, I'm trying to think of what year it was. Maybe 2008. End of 2007, I think it was. He came and he debuted in 2000.
If there are any Carlton supporters
It would have
listening
been
to this, they will
24,
all be just
Oh, it just
trying to
doesn't. It
call
doesn't
in.
make
We
any
don't
sense.
have a phone line, so
It just that's.
Can we move on?
I'm trying to. I've tried to a couple of times, but then you go back to the well, and then Sam starts playing his guitar, slapping the bass in his room. Like, oh dear, this might be our last show. Give us your cane corns of the week.
Oh, okay. Usually they're a pretty easy one to give. This one is a little bit more deeper dive, if you will. I'm giving it this week to Mark Robinson, good old Robbo from AFL 360 and head chief writer at the Herald Sun. Mm-hmm. So a few days ago, Herald Sun broke the story about Walid Ali being asked his opinion on law changes of the game, etc., from the AFL.
Yes.
And so the article itself was a well-framed story, and it definitely drove the social media outrage machine. Like that's what the story was for, and that's what it did.
Correct.
People blew like.
Would you say it was clickbait?
It was clickbait, 100% clickbait, and I think there's a deeper story to it than just clickbait for that story. They even had Waleed in a turtleneck skivvy in the photo. That's gonna rustle some feathers.
Did it make you mad? Did it?
No, but it didn't because I knew what they were doing. But there are so many people.
What was the symbolism of the turtleneck? Did you
It's a
think?
little bit like it's not your everyday sort of attire. It's a historically it's like I'm better than you and I'm wearing a turtleneck.
A visual code for arrogance? Do you feel?
Potentially, yes.
Potentially,
Allegedly,
allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. So it blew up, of course. Even our mate Shane Warne, big fan of the show, and Andrew Bogut, they had their 2 cents to say about it.
Yeah.
And then later on, Waleed came out and said that it wasn't true, and that in fact he just wanted to basically see the data and how they go about these rule changes. There was an article about this a day later, which was like, okay, fair enough. So this outrage wasn't even for the right decision. So the AFL didn't actually really want his opinion. So and then Robbo writes an article in the Herald Sun, which is the same paper that broke this story, this clickbait. The very next day, comparing it to the booing of Adam Goods. Now you read that on face value, and you're like, okay, I see where he's coming from, blah blah blah. But my theory is that Robbo wanted that original article written and the way it was written for the clickbait, for the outrage, for him to write that article. and to have his
Are
righteousness.
you saying that there's agendas in the media?
I am saying there is agendas in the media.
Well, welcome back to Media Watch.
And I think that this is some House of Cards type bullshit. And I think Mark Robinson, you're a flog, and you're my Kane Corners of the Week, round 23.
you
Going
go.
into the finals.
Robbo.
He never got it. I
notice.
looked on my list. He had never got it.
So you just had to find something you'd done during the week?
No, because I was like, I want to give it to Robbo. I'm like, surely I've given it to Robbo. I hadn't given it.
You hadn't given it to Robbo?
Nah. You'd think that Robbo would get that somewhere along the line.
Yeah, probably.
He's been safe until now.
Until now.
I think that's just, I don't know, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's a very interesting take, Ben. The Wally Dali was the biggest storm in a teacup
Wasn't it?
I've ever seen. Well, I've not ever seen, but
But that's...
because I just saw a real
How's
nasty
that for
argument
outrage?
about Chris Judd, like Josh Kennedy. But write that on my tombstone, mate.
Kennedy for...
Judd for Kennedy was sound or something, just something like just
Well, if you
parting
outlive me,
words.
I will
Yeah.
write that on your tombstone.
If I outlive you, yeah. I'm not sure I'll have a tombstone. More of a cremation guy,
You're more of a cremation guy?
I assume.
By the time we pass, it might be a bit even better way to do it.
Maybe we'll never pass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Bit of Walt
advances in
Disney
science
sort of stuff.
are getting pretty out there.
God, imagine if we have to do this podcast for the rest of forever, eternity. And the last episode will still be coming on blows over Josh Kennedy.
And I'm still not allowed to give cane corns twice to the same person.
Time for the time-honoured Magoo's moment of the week.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it short this week because we've been talking for a long, long time, and this is more a reference to make sure that you go and have a look at either the AFLPA's Courageous Conversations piece and watch Dane Beams' interview. And he's also doing the same, not the same interview, but it's very much centered around the same thing. Him talking about his struggles with his father and how he's opened up with some mental health issues that all that's caused, and how we obviously know how he stood down from the captaincy. And we've spoken about that before, but he's done a couple of ripping interviews with the AFLPA and On the Mark on Fox Footy on Wednesday night. So he gets the Magoo's moment for opening up and discussing it in an open forum, because it's people like that who will make those conversations the norm and continue to set those examples. And the people involved in those interviews, the one on Fox Footy and On the Mark, Nerily Meadows does a fantastic job, and his brother Clay Beams is in it as well. So that is the Magoo's moment of the week, is everyone involved in the AFLPA's Courageous Conversations of Fox Footy's On the Mark, along with the Dane Beams story that is presented this week. So Magoo's community, once you've finished this, don't go yet because we're not finished, but if you haven't watched it, make sure you go and watch that interview. It is a fantastic piece definitely needs as many eyes on it as it can, as the campaigns to remove the stigma from men talking about health concerns, be it physical or mental, continue. So that is the Magoo's moment of the week. I actually, as we change tact again, I wonder if you'll allow this, because I want to give a Kane Corns of the week.
I'm going to just get a snippet of you saying that, and that's going to be my ringtone. That is awesome. Look at you. Look at us, how far we've come.
Yeah.
Go on, though. What is it? Or why do you feel the need, or not the need, but why do you feel like you should give a Kane Corns?
I don't want to be seen as pro-Carlton, like, whatever, like, as in till death, because Carlton have had a shocking season. The last 3 years, Carlton have gone 7 wins, 6 wins, and now 2 wins. I don't think we'll beat Adelaide. I'd love us to, but I don't think we'll. I tipped us the last couple of weeks because I thought we might pick one up.
Yeah. Go on, though.
Thanks. I was watching. I was watching the right term, because I did watch it originally, I guess. And it was the AFL.com.au's piece with Matthew Lloyd, Cal Toomey and Damien Barrett. And they dissected Carlton's season in a little snippet they called The Wash-Up. Right.
Yes, I love where this is going.
Stagnated Blues. They had this little graphic. Jacob Wiedering, which has been injured a lot of the year, but, you know, the 20-year-old, probably 21-year-old
He's young,
backman in the side that's getting flogged every week. Sam Petrevsky-Seton, whose stats in the second half of the year, every key line has gone up on average, as second-year small midfielder in a team that's getting pulverised every week.
Yeah.
Jack Silvani, who he cops a lot of flack for a bloke that was taken pick 53 in the draft.
Yeah.
Why does he have to be an elite talent?
name,
I don't get it. Yeah,
yeah.
but that's not his fault.
No.
Like,
No,
and
absolutely.
Essendon bid on him as well. Like, I mean, I just don't. And Matthew Kennedy, who we got from GWS, who's 21 and has been injured a lot of the year and has played a couple of good games, but been in and out all season. So there were 4 stagnated Blues whose development has apparently stopped. But you know who they put in as well?
I know who you're going to say.
Harry Mackay.
Harry Mackay.
Matthew Lloyd has called Harry
Yeah.
Mackay a stagnated Blue. He'd played 2 games before this season, and he's come out and shown he's probably been the ray of light in. I mean, Charlie Curnow and Patrick Cripps have continued to develop out of sight. But for Matthew Lloyd to call Harry Mackay's career stagnated is one of the most clickbaity, look at me like, oh, someone tweet me. I haven't said anything in a couple of weeks. I might as well, like Chris Judd got the headlines from Footy Classified, so I'm going to go into AFL House on Tuesday. And then someone tweeted, it was at Reece M. Miller.
I read this, by the way.
I can't take credit for this. And Reece Miller, if you watch the Magoos, we might have to tag him in one of our posts. After 14 AFL games, Matthew Lloyd, 9.2 average disposals, 4.2 marks, 1.7 goals. Harry Mackay, 10.2 disposals, 5 marks, 1.5 goals. Paralleled. If anything, Harry slightly ahead. Was Matthew Lloyd stagnated, was he?
Well, one was
Sluggy.
an 18-year-old, one was a 21-year-old.
Matthew Lloyd said that Harry had been sluggish in those games and he wasn't developing and needs to do more. His stats then against other key forwards after 14 games. So remember, Harry Mackay averaged 10 disposals, 5 marks, 1.5 goals. Buddy Franklin, 10.2 disposals, 4.1 marks, 0.9 goals. Josh Kennedy, your man, 5.9 disposals, 3.2 marks, 0.4 goals. And you wouldn't have traded him. You wouldn't have traded him for the best player in the comp. Jack Rewald, 8.2 disposals, 3.7 marks, 0.8 goals. Pavlich, 10.9 disposals, 4.1 marks, 0.8 goals.
Jake, what is your point here?
What's Matthew Lloyd talking about? How is he possibly stagnated? I can't imagine how Carlton have had as bad a year as they have, and he's lined up 5 21-year-olds and gone, oh, it's their fault. They're not developing.
Imagine
Please.
rocking up to your your third day at work. You've worked 2 days and you were sick or something, and then you came in for your third day, and the CEO brought you in, said, mate, I think you haven't been working hard enough.
You've stagnated. Yeah,
You've stagnated.
I
I saw that, and I thought the exact same. I thought that was quite rich from Matty. And Matty Lloyd usually has a pretty good analysis, I think.
It's lazy for mine, and it's Kane Corn's material.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Kane Corns are the wheat material, not Kane. I quite like Kane Corns, but it's Kane Corns are the wheat material, which you named, not me. Should be the Matthew Lloyd of the week.
Did you see that actually?
By me.
Just on that.
Yuck.
There was an article about one of the Port players calling out Kane Corns. Even he was saying he was a bit of a shock jock journalist.
Really? Well, there you go.
I just thought, look at that. Everyone's starting to listen to me. Just sitting over in the corner.
Everyone's starting to listen to me.
Sitting over in the corner with my avocados that are starting to grow.
Cool.
And
this has been a bit more of a variety show, hasn't it?
yeah, why not?
Yeah, we've had some guitar. We've had interruptions, guitars, arguments. We don't argue a lot, you and me, Ben.
Yeah,
we did.
I
thought about hitting
Chris Judd.
I thought about hitting you.
You thought about hitting me.
Doing the old WWE with the mic. We could really get that thud going.
Yeah, you pick me for a WWE fan.
I'd pick you for a WWE fan. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. What did I say? Yeah.
I mean, I'm a WWE fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and nor should it, because I am. What's your issue? Okay, Ben, we've arrived at the last round of the season. On next week's show, everyone, before we get to our tips for the last round, which we might as well run through.
Yep.
Next week, we want your submissions, and we'll put on the socials. You'll have to fill in the blanks. In 2018, or what I got right in 2018, that's where I am, was bang, and then you tell us. So for me, I'll say, what I got right in 2018 was Essendon won't make the finals. Tick. And then I'll say, what I got wrong in 2018 was West Coast would finish in the bottom 4. Sorry, I had them 10th, I think. But, West Coast missing the final. So that's off the top of my head a few things that I've got right and got wrong. You've probably never heard that I said Essendon wouldn't make the finals before, but I did say that.
Yeah, and I maintain that that's not like a huge call.
Yeah, so we'll put that out on the socials, and we want the members of the Magoo's community to be coming to us and owning up their mistakes. But
owning up their mistakes, yeah.
But then also we'll obviously go through a few of ours because we'll be able to go back through the archives. We'll get the young fella to go through and sort out some of the things that we've said that may make us look a little foolish, but may also make us look like geniuses. So give us your best and worst of 2018. Send them through to us.
I thought.
Maybe not. But we will get to that next week for our pre-finals buy show.
Yeah, we'll still have a show there.
It'll be a cracker. It'll be a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Hope Sam comes.
Yeah, I know, Jesus.
Port Adelaide, Essendon. Both seasons over.
Well, technically not for Port.
I thought you were going to...
You thought I was
going to say you found a way.
Some way.
You found a way. If Essendon play their joker and get 8 points for this victory.
If Port win and Geelong lose, Port are in.
Not if you know how percentage works.
Yeah, they're both on 48 points.
Yes, you're right, Ben, obviously. Geelong won't lose is what I meant.
Yeah, okay. I think Essendon's going to win that too, by the way.
No, Port Adelaide will win. Geelong, Gold Coast at GMHBA Stadium.
Geelong.
Correct. Richmond Bulldogs at MCG.
Richmond.
Yep. Fremantle, Collingwood at Optus.
Collingwood.
Yep. Carlton, Adelaide at Etihad.
Etihad? I'm going to say Carlton.
I'll say Adelaide, I think. I'd love Carlton.
I reckon Carlton's just going to get one done. Why not?
Have you seen them play recently? Seen them play recently?
Unfortunately.
That's the why not. Sydney Swans versus Hawthorn at the SCG for a spot in the top 4.
Yeah.
Love when fixtures work out like that.
Hawthorn. Nobody.
No, I said a few weeks ago. I said Sydney weren't going to make the finals, and they haven't. Someone must have
They
played
just
it
kept
to
winning those. Yeah. Their last month has just surprised everyone. I think.
But I don't overly rate Hawthorn, but they tend to get the job done.
I actually rate Hawthorn.
I'm going to tip Sydney purely at the SCG.
Hawthorn's going to go deep in the finals.
Brisbane West Coast at the Gabba.
West Coast.
Tough on paper. I know West Coast have got a lot to play for, but tough road trip. Especially,
Can they lose second spot if they don't win?
Absolutely. If Collingwood win,
you heard it here.
you could end up with 4 finals in Melbourne.
I did read that article.
That'd be massive. Melbourne GWS at the MCG.
I'm going to go with Melbourne.
Yeah, probably Melbourne.
Who did GWS have out now? Not their whole list, but just recent. On top of them.
Griffin hurt himself.
Yeah. Phil, did I say something about Phil Davis or not?
He did hurt himself the other day.
Yeah.
AFL app's going beautifully here. It's just got the issues, doesn't have the names. So someone's out with an ankle for 4 weeks, but then it's got Phil Davis down the bottom, hip test. Hip test. I listened to his podcast actually, the Footy Phil
podcast. Yeah,
the Footy Phil, and he said he thinks he'll be right with the 8-day break. So
good on him.
Yeah. And then rounding off the season is the St Kilda North Melbourne blockbuster at Etihad Sunday night. Those players would be spewing that they have to play the Sunday evening.
Opposed to the other times they always play Sunday.
Yeah, but like. I think you want, if you're not playing finals, you want to play Saturday.
Yeah, I reckon North will get it done for Jared Waite last game.
For Jared Waite. I think North will get it done because St Kilda are terrible.
Yeah.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
You know who I saw the other day, speaking of North Melbourne? Lee Adams, Patch Adams.
Patch.
Speaking of a show, we've spoken heavily about Chris Judd. He was the guy that Chris Judd chicken winged. Lee Adams.
He did too. Yeah.
Saw him out with his...
Do you think that was a fair trade? For how many weeks he got for that?
Nah, he didn't deserve that many weeks. No way. What do? Moved a guy's arm?
Yeah, but he's notorious for being a bit of a dog on the ground.
Okay, we had Devon Smith throwing haymakers and he got a fine. Missed.
And it was counted back in time.
Don't punish
I heard that argument. Shut the gate. No way. Get out. No. I'm not having a bar of that. Don't punish the outcome. Punish the intention.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, what's that? Like, no.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Ben, thank you very much. An action-packed episode of the Magoos where we covered it all. We yelled, we laughed, we loved.
I would like to apologise if it was too loud when I was yelling out to Sam earlier. But God, who does that?
Yeah, Sam needs some.
Who does that?
Sam's got some things to work out. Hopefully by next week's show, we've got the frame worked out. Sam's got his stuff worked out. We have less chili flakes in the sweet potato fries. And until then, Ben, try and stay off other shows and other podcasts.
Unless you're also involved.
Unless I'm involved, in which case, because it's only a rort if you're not in on it. So Thank you very much, Magoo's community. Make sure you send us through your what you got right and what you got wrong in 2018s on the socials, and we will see you next week for our pre-finals bye special.
Get excited.